Mic check.
Mic check. Check, check,
Check,
check.
check. 1, 2.
Ooh, we're a little hot.
Little hot.
Hot? Yeah.
Yes.
Check, check. Check,
Check.
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 Check out my melody.
Check.
Alex Williams, thank you for that. He told us that the audio was clipping the last episode, so
Yeah, that's on
we
me.
are correcting it.
That's on me.
Check out my melody.
Hello and welcome to the Freemasons Podcast with your hosts, Right Worshipful Brother George Marjorie,
Worshipful Brother Joe. I didn't realize we were starting.
also
Oh,
known
we are.
as
Judge Ginger.
Judge Ginger.
And Worshipful Brother Ken.
And we're here tonight. We're doing episode 210. We are doing basically Judge Ginger over here is going to you submit your questions, if you will, or your lodge complaints or
Your
problems,
cases.
your cases, and we.
And I will render a decision.
Thank God a Mason's not Rittenhouse.
Gotta make it political.
Anyway, first things first, we're going to do some general homework. Ken, I'll lead it off because I got it right here.
Yeah.
We're going to lead off with YouTube subscribers. Jeff Bronson, Lee Stevens, Diddler. Didier. Didier. Didier.
Didier?
Yeah, maybe. CRTR. Johnny 5, and that's PHIVE. And that's what we got on YouTube. Just for case in point of YouTube, we are up to 857 subscribers. I am going to do this. I'm going to have Freemasons Podcast Challenge coins made. And for
Just like the pins.
for the 100. Okay. All right. I see what you did there.
We'll have them made. We just won't ship them.
No, we'll ship them. I'm going to have some Freemason Podcast Challenge coins created. And for the last 100 subscribers on YouTube that get us to 1,000, they will receive a challenge coin. If they obviously give me their name and address, and you can do that through Facebook Messenger and or Instagram on the Freemasons Podcast pages. And we'll send it out to you. If you're one of the 900, you could send it to us and be like, hey, am I one of them? And if you're not, I'll say, no. But thanks for subscribing. And we'll go from there. But that's what I have for that.
Over on Instagram, we've got Harrison, who's got a great profile pic of him with a largemouth bass, it looks like. Brothers in Bonds Company. I'll have to look them up. I don't know what they do. But
We may need them.
Yeah. Yeah, we may need them after this episode. Skip Williams and Ben Bennett. So thank you, brothers and friends.
Josh Mantello. Right, Warshipful Josh Mantello. Oh, great. Another empty promise gift no one will receive.
That's right.
All right.
Well, all
We're
right.
full of them.
Did Josh ever get his... Josh, did you ever get your Freemasons Podcast pen? And this time I will handle it myself. I won't pass it through
Yeah,
Rafferty.
because that worked out so well.
That
too.
worked out right. Hey,
Delegate.
Just saying.
delegate. We'll make Ken do it.
I know how to ship things.
Have one of your
does.
kids do it. Have a better
He's got his own
chance.
Yeah, there we
freaking
go.
onboard stamp, right? He's a machine.
I have
so
a what? I have a stamp machine?
Yeah. It's
I do?
on your person. It's your freaking robot.
Oh, because I'm a
Yeah,
robot.
it's part of your thing. Josh Mantel. Oh, he never received it. All right, we're gonna have to find out where those pins went. We're gonna have to get him back from Rafferty. See how many he's got left. Is he out? Joe?
What?
Is he out?
He's out.
He's out, really?
Yes.
All right.
I have rendered my decision. He's out.
All right. So we'll have to get more.
How come you don't have a gavel?
For
by the
crimes against the podcast.
Give
he's
me
out.
a price, and we'll get him. On top of that, we'll also look into a challenge coin, and we'll start that process because we're at 857. We got some time. We have
if
one
we
Apple.
start mailing them now, they might get them by the time we hit 1,000.
Exactly. We have one. So first off, let's toast them. Kenny, lead it.
All right. Brethren, right hand to arms.
To arms.
Ready.
Ready.
Aim.
Aim.
Fire, good fire, fire all. Together, brethren.
Viva,
viva, viva.
Charge them up one more time. We got one more toast to do.
Christ almighty.
Evan Williams.
Oh, God, it's...
It's not that bad. Stop it.
It's not that good.
There you go, kids. All right. Apple review. Here we
We
go.
were drinking last time, too.
From
Yeah, it tastes different, though.
5-star review. Amazing Masonic podcast from Navy Moose.
No. know that guy.
About time he came around.
Yeah.
They let that guy in the military?
I am a longtime listener and member of Discord. Yes, he is. I thought I had reviewed a long time ago. Nope. That's why I broke your balls about it.
Fail.
No, that was that other podcast.
That was that other podcast.
Son of
I have been a listener for 2 years, and Discordian is almost as long. The fellowship and charity in this group is second to none. The information is top rate. Yes. What was I going to say? Discord is a very tight-knit family. We help each other out, as we've done time and time again. And Joe, tell them how to do it.
So you would go and join us on Patreon for as little as $5 a month. You will receive access to our Patreon exclusive content, our Discord channels, including live chat and talk function, which we actually haven't utilized in a little bit. We'll have to get on one of those soon. And the ever elusive Freemasons Gold Tone podcast pin. So all that for as little as $5 a month if you join us on Patreon.
Correct. All right. Was that a chair break?
I think it was something. It's a little crickety.
It might actually be the table because it's made out of
Nah,
like
it's my
1x2s
ass. I mean-
here.
Oh, would you stop? It's made out of cedar. 2025. Jim Delaney says it'll come by 2025. Anyway, this episode we're going to be dealing with Judge Ginger, and we're going to make a ruling on something. He's going to make rulings on if you guys
Do we
submit
have any cases to come before?
cases that are in Masonic lodges where you may think you were right or somebody else thought they were right, and we're going to rule on them. Well, Joe, Worship Brother Joe's going to rule on him as Judge Ginger.
The
All
docket,
decisions are binding.
Correct.
the docket is looking a little bit sparse,
little sparse.
right now.
A little sparse. That's good though. That's a good thing though. That Masonry has very little cases for you to solve and fix.
Hey, we didn't toast Brother Lee.
We didn't. Let's do it.
Oh,
We
Joe.
just left it hanging there. That's sorry, Lee.
no, we're not. Brother, right hand to arms.
Two arms.
Ready.
Ready.
Aim.
Aim.
Fire, good fire, fire all. Together, brothers. Vivat, vivat, vivat.
Thanks, Lee.
All right.
Thanks, Lee. So you know how Judge Judy has that bailiff bird?
Yep.
Do I have Ken?
That's
he's
me.
he's like Big Bird. He's Big Bird. You're Big Bird.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. We'll
So
go
what
with
would I be?
You're like my stenographer because
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure you could pronounce it or spell it.
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna get it wrong.
That would be awesome. That would be the funniest freaking. Can you read that back to me? I'm sorry, I can't.
And actually, you know what do what type of writing do stenographers do again? What is it called?
Shorthand, right up your alley. Well played, Ken. Well played. That's
good
why
for
you're
one.
my bird.
Shit.
Good for one a show. That's it.
James Delaney should rule on the hairy one reviewing the other podcast. Fail. 30-day Discord ban. All right, go ahead.
Good call, Jim.
Do we have the ability to do that?
I mean, yeah, I guess so. A 30-day Discord ban. But I mean,
So here's what I'm going to do. No, but can we suspend? Can we suspend somebody on Discord?
I can kick anybody or
If
ban
you
anybody.
rule it, that's your
Okay.
ruling.
I mean,
yeah.
are you really going to rule me? Is that
here's-
big of an offense?
I'm going to. I'm going
might have
to
to be
render
at
my
the-
ruling.
gonna
All
have to be at the-
rulings are final.
Yeah.
All are final. So, I am going to rule in favor of banning Brother Lee from Discord for 30 days. However, in the spirit of Thanksgiving, I'm going to suspend that sentence.
Stay of sentence.
all right.
There you go.
All right.
That decision's final.
You heard the judge. Get the hell out.
I mean, if we're talking about offenses, though, do you think cheating on a fantasy football is a punishable offense?
That was before my term. That was last year.
I think we should stay that sentence too, seeing as how he's doing particularly terribly this week.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's time served.
Oh man. So, dude, Ken, you got any things that for any? Oh, here we go. Isaiah Almaza. Sorry if I fuck your name up. So I do.
Shamil Almanza.
That's what I do. Hey guys, I petitioned my local lodge when I visited last Tuesday. Another step closer to my journey. Thank you guys for the help. Can't wait. Congratulations.
Nice. Congrats.
I have to admit though, there was a Freemasons podcast community post that was absolutely hysterical. And it was a brother who said, I just received my fellow craft. Oh, no, I'm an EA about to receive my fellow craft.
Oh, yeah.
Wrong answers only.
Oh, that was a great thing.
That
That
was
was a great
hysterical. Oh, all the wrong answers. So, I don't know. Just should we give?
Go ahead and pull that up
should we
and read some of those while we're waiting for cases to come in?
I can actually.
or either
I'll
that
pull
or
it
I
up
can
right
write
now. Oh, freaking hilarious! Me and Joe went back and forth on it for a while. That was pretty funny. Let me see if I can bring it up here.
That was another post that we have the ability to put up a poll, right?
Yeah. On the
Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
on the community page, yeah.
All right, because I'll put on a poll. Would they like to see the return of Santa's bountiful sack for Christmas this year? So that'll be up there a little later on.
Hold on, I was in the wrong.
It was banned by the lawyers, not by the viewership.
All right, here we go. So, no, that's not it. That's the Joe talking about his freaking Santa's bountiful whatever the hell.
Yeah,
Was
he's petitioning hard for that one.
I have the suit.
No, it's just like collecting dust.
It fits.
That was funny.
I'm sure it was the community, right?
I'm trying to find it. Oh, here we go. And this was from Alex Ostler. He says, all right, folks, I've got my fellow craft on Tuesday. Wrong advice only. Here we go. This is freaking hilarious. And it goes on for a while.
32 comments, yeah.
Don't wear underwear. Bring a Q-tip. 2 if you don't want to share.
Yeah, Joe.
Bring 10 friends. Cheat code to MM involves a green bean hidden somewhere in your persons. That was hysterical. And that was Adam Carness. Oh, man, that was funny. Phil Baker, there is no goat. Let's see here. Double tie your shoes. You'll thank me later. Speedo. Go commando. Write down everything while it's happening. Carrot for the goat. I'm not going to read that one.
Oh, come on. Yeah, you can.
Add a condom, ribbed. Which was followed up by, but inverted for your pleasure. Bulk Vaseline.
Oh, man. Yeah,
Go sit in the east in the big chair and run the meeting.
goes downhill from there.
Yep. If you want to have fun, do it. Do what I did and make the guys laugh when they say, repeat after me, and repeat what he says. Correct the ritual when they screw up. It's encouraged.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Bring a map and you'll get lost on the journey. Super glue any loose pieces of skin. Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. This is freaking terrible. Oh, man. Never. Oh, here we go. Oh, man. Mine went down last week. Shave your right butt cheek. I'll say no more. These are freaking hilarious. Make sure you give the worshipful master peanut butter M&Ms, the wages of a Mason.
Indeed.
Eat very, very greasy Mexican food for an extra lubrication. Eat plenty of chili before lodge.
Yeah.
Somebody put up a picture of Vermin Supreme. I have no idea who he is.
You don't know who Vermin Supreme was?
No
He was
idea.
running for president.
Was he president or was he prime minister?
That's
anyway?
funny.
No, he was. No, he was. He's from New Hampshire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was
Alright.
under the Libertarian Party or something. He was going for president. He wore a boot on his head.
I think there's a guy that does some kind of like similar thing, but like more of a Vader theme over in England.
Oh.
That dresses up weird.
All right. Kelly Blankenship, and this brother writes, what would the judgment be if a brother was found to be a member of a clandestine organization?
Okay, I guess court is in session. All rise for the Honorable Worshipful Brother Joe.
Thank you, Big Bird.
I'm already never mind.
Big Bird.
So what would the judgment be? Actually, that's pretty simple. That's an easy one as laid out in our rules and regulations in the Grand Lodge of Connecticut, and I'm assuming most jurisdictions across the United States, if not all, he would simply be expelled.
Okay.
Expulsion.
However,
Time out. Clandestine organization. Is it a clandestine Freemasonic organization or just some type of other?
that's what I was
Like
getting
if
at.
it were Ken's Dungeons and Dragons Club, I think we'd be okay.
We can be
I'd
members
allow
of both. That's
that.
fine. Yeah.
But if it were a clandestine Masonic organization, then he would simply be expelled.
However, can that clandestine Mason who may not know he's clandestine then petition and go through them again?
He may.
Okay.
He may, because I actually know a few brothers that I'll just keep it at that, that were actually members of clandestine lodges unbeknownst to them, and they had to deliver a written statement repudiating that clandestine lodge, explaining that they were not aware, and pretty much retaking their degrees through proper Masonic channels.
Now, if you're already a brother and you join a clandestine organization, like you said, they would probably be found guilty of a Masonic charge and then expelled.
Correct.
Unless they were to rescind their membership in said organization, right?
Yeah. And again, it all gets down to...
He says non-Masonic organization.
Non-Masonic organization, we have no jurisdiction.
Yeah.
But would he be expelled or removed or suspended from our organization being part of that or the other organization, or does that fall under usual vocations?
I would
Judge
say
Ginger.
that in my non-Grand Lodge rules and regs opinion of the state of Connecticut, or any grand jurisdiction across the United States or internationally for that matter, I would say we have no jurisdiction over that. He would have to commit a Masonic offense, something to do with that organization. Let's just say, for instance, I don't know, the Ku Klux Klan. If somebody's a member of that organization, but not necessarily behaving in a manner that conflicts with Masonic rules and regulations, I don't really think there's much we can do. However, if he were to go out in public and practice hate speech and exhibit behavior that reflects poorly on the fraternity, then yeah, I'd say we'd have some jurisdiction. If he's wearing a Klan lapel pin next to his Masonic lapel pin, yeah, I'd say we have some jurisdiction there. But if he's not doing anything and just by purely being a member alone, I don't think there's much we can do. However, give it time. He'll do something if he's a member of an organization like that.
Yeah.
However, can I ask a question?
You're not the judge.
I'm not. I'm asking a
Decision
question.
has been rendered. All
Listen,
hail,
I'm
honorable
you
judge.
could
Right
be
now,
defense
I'm the
attorney.
I'm right now. I'm
wanna
the
be the
prosecutor
prosecutor?
in this one.
Well, I've already decided.
However, that organization is known for its hate and what it does over the years, which has been established. And if you are a member of this organization, I believe it reflects on your persons as you as a person. And aren't we as Masons told to keep basically the company you keep? I'm trying to beat around the ritual here, but it talks about basically the company you keep.
Yeah, if you belong to an organization whose values are inconsistent with those of Freemasonry, then you could, I think, be brought up on Masonic charges for that.
That's what I'm at.
It reflects on your character as a man. You're not a good man if you're...
You're a terrible defense attorney.
I'm just the bailiff. I'm not even supposed to talk.
Big Bird.
I'm just Big Bird, man.
However,
shut.
if in that case, just association with an organization like that is not a Masonic offense unless it's in your Grand Lodge rules and regs somewhere. It's not in Connecticut's.
Yep.
I believe there are three criteria that need to be met for a Masonic offense in the Grand Lodge of Connecticut. Associating with an organization that may not be on the up and up is not one of them. If it's something that you feel strongly about, you can petition your Grand Lodge to have things like that changed and written in. However, just being a member of one of those organizations, to the best of my knowledge, which in this fairy tale world is all that matters, there's no Masonic offense being committed.
Joseph Schultz says, where do you draw the line on conflict or disagreement within a lodge let me try that again. Where do you draw the line on conflict or disagreement within the lodge for charges, suspensions, and expulsions?
I have some experience with this one.
So where do you draw the line on conflict or disagreement within the lodge? So
like when
there's
when
a
would you
difference of
prefer
opinion
charges?
as to whether or not they get suspended, expelled, or reprimanded?
Yes.
That's the argument of which one applies?
My read of it is he's asking, how far does a disagreement have to go before you prefer charges or before...
That's kind of how I read
I think
it.
that's
Okay.
what it means.
That's how I read it too.
You'd have to, again, go back to your Grand Lodge rules and regulations and see exactly what constitutes a Masonic offense. And if that has been breached, then you have a case.
Have you guys ever been part of a Masonic trial?
I have.
You have.
I served as a senior warden during one of the Masonic trials.
And it's pretty much, in a sense, like, I mean, it's a court, right? For the most part.
It's
You have your prosecution, you have your defense attorney, or right?
pretty much your junior, depending on where the offense occurred.
took,
If
right.
it's if the offense occurs during open lodge, then the senior warden, in essence, takes on the role of quote unquote prosecutor.
And the master goes. What's the master do?
I think he ultimately decides.
The judge.
He's the judge. Well, in my instance, well, we'll get into that in a minute, but the junior ward, if the offense occurs at any time while at refreshment, then the junior warden is in charge, and he would, in essence, be the prosecutor. In my situation, the master was the one that was bringing the charges up on a brother, so he had to sit that one out. And we had somebody else sit in as master. And ultimately, I take that back. The master is not the judge. He just kind of oversees the proceedings. He's more a procedural guy. Ultimately, it comes down to a vote from the lodge. So you get judged by, in essence, a jury of your peers.
But there are material witnesses and all that stuff too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you get to present evidence. You get to explain. You also get to, much like in a real trial type setting, you get to convey what penalty you want imposed. So it's very important not to overshoot on that because I can tell you brothers will be very reluctant to expel somebody unless it's something extremely egregious because we all make mistakes. We're all rough ashlers. But, in that instance, we put it to bed. It was the brother was exonerated and we went about our business.
So I've always wondered something about my Masonic career and what happened to me a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Based on this is before you guys knew me, and situation I've talked about on the podcast before, but I'm curious about and I know what happened. The past or most worshipful grandmaster, Marshall Robinson, who wasn't a grandmaster at the time. I think he was just a grand junior steward or whatever. But he's still a prominent guy in our district and grand jurisdiction. He kind of came in and mediated, and everything was put to best. Alex, hold on to your question. I got it right here. I'm curious about Joe. What his ruling would be on this. So I've talked about this before, and in my lodge, again, our lodge was relatively small. There were some moves I was trying to make that some of the past masters didn't like. One particular past right worshipful brother decided to stand up and basically, out of turn when I was master, said, because I said I don't want to talk about it, and I banged the gavel. I'm going to wait for the next master to discuss it. And he stood up and he said, "No, you're going to talk about this now." The jarhead came out of me, and I said, "Are you threatening me?" And it got contentious for a while, to which I rapidly closed lodge, and that was the end of it. So I'm curious, with the information that you've gotten, how would you rule on it?
Technically, I don't, and I'm actually trying to pull up our offenses while we're going through here, just so I have proper language in the state of Connecticut. But in something in that instance, I don't believe he is committing an offense just by being disrespectful. However, it is well within your power to have the senior warden escort that brother out. Of course, as this time of year, we're going to be doing a lot of past master degrees. So your main job as master would be to preserve harmony and not let things get out of control. So probably your best option, if he was still being stubborn and disrespectful, is simply to call the craft to refreshment and speak to him during the break and politely ask him to leave.
All right. I was just curious about your ruling on that. What would it be? Just I know what should have done, but if by chance me as master pushed for Masonic charges, for that disrespect, what would your ruling be? Was I in the right or was I wrong?
I think by the letter of the law, you don't have a case.
Okay.
Depending on what was said and whatnot. And if it were an actual threat of physical harm, you'd have a better case. But if it were just something that you inferred as a physical threat or a threat in general, I don't believe you would have enough.
Yeah. Okay. And as far as like kicking off this process, it's kind of up to the brother involved, right? Because we had a similar kind of. It didn't get to the point where we were going into a trial, but the year that I was master, there was a conflict in the lodge, and two brothers had an issue with each other, which does happen, not frequently in masonry, but it does happen. And there wasn't any, there wasn't any physical violence or anything like that, but it got a little heated, and it was during refreshment. And what it came down to is like the brother that was affronted, he was the one who would have to, level Masonic charges. He would have to say, hey, this was serious enough that I think we need to, talk to the master and put a Masonic trial together. He has that ability, but, calmer, cooler heads prevailed. He decided that it wasn't that big of a deal. They kind of, made up as best they could, I guess, after the fact, and there was never any trial as a result of it. So it doesn't have to lead to a trial.
Right.
It's really up to the brother.
So in Connecticut, go ahead.
I just want to read Alex Wilson's question here. He says, have you ever visited a lodge in the UK? Would you be eligible to, given the difference in Grand Lodges? Yes.
Yes,
we
as
do
long as they're
recognize.
both mutually recognized by each Grand Lodge. You just talk to your secretary and get your traveling papers, and you go over and present them, and you're good to go.
Yeah. And
We've
he
had
also
brothers
says,
from prior to issues that they had probably about 5-6 years ago. We had a brother visit from France when we still recognized them.
we had one from Scotland many years ago.
So, it's international travel is permitted as long as they're both recognized bodies.
Correct. And he also says, by the way, greetings from the UK.
Fraternal greetings, brother.
Kelly Blankenship, would you typically assign a committee to investigate the allegations before proceeding to trial? Like a hearing, if you will.
Typically, yeah. Typically you can have like a preliminary hearing to kind of gauge what you have. However, like our purpose is we're not the police, we're not detectives, we're not private investigators. It's not like we're going to go out and follow somebody around and do anything like that. If it's a matter of public record, it's a matter of public record. If it's not, then it's just hearsay, and unless you have an eyewitness to something. I think it's more of a compilation of evidence versus an investigation.
I also think that, and stop me if I'm wrong, Judge Ginger, but I think if the brother still is adamant about pressing charges, you still got to do it, though.
You have to look into it.
But I think even if they do the preliminary thing and says, no, he's got no case, even if the brother Mason who is adamant is like, no, I'm pressing charges regardless. I don't care if you say there's nothing to it. I'm pushing it anyway. The lodge has to do it, correct?
Well, in our instance, what we did was, I don't think they still have to go forward with the trial. They can have the preliminary hearing and decide that there's not enough to go forward. That's what we did in an instance that I was involved. There was preliminary evidence, kind of like a grand jury. You would present evidence to get.
But a jury would be in trial.
No, grand jury.
The grand jury is before they issue the.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yep, you're right.
It's all in the rules and regs, I think, too, as far as like how all that works.
And if you find that, hey, it doesn't fit the criteria of a Masonic offense, then you don't have to pursue it. And for Connecticut, there's four. I'm sorry, there's not three. There's four that are defined in Masonic offenses. The first is moral turpitude, an act of baseness, vileness, or depravity contrary to accepted and customary rules of right conduct and duty between men.
And I just want to be clear, these are the criteria in order to file a Masonic charge, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Sorry.
Or the definition of when a Masonic offense is committed, which would trigger your ability to file charges. So keep in mind there, it doesn't say violation of Grand Lodge rules, doesn't say violation of Robert's rules of whatever.
Robert's Rules of Order. It's just moral turpitude.
Right. So that's number one. Yeah. Two is fraud. Consists of deceit. This is really small. Artifice, trick, designs, or some direct and active course of conduct used to circumvent another's rights or cheat another. It may consist of a false representation of fact or concealment of that which should have been disclosed, which is intended to deceive another so that he acts to his detriment. So to just stop on that one for a moment, to get, was it Kelly Blankenship that asked about the clandestine organization?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So if there was a conflict and the person was asked, hey, are you a member of this organization? And he lies about it, you may have some level of deceit there. So that's where you might have a case.
And that's a violation of obligation right
Yes.
Right.
Intentional wrong, improper conduct undertaken with full knowledge of the nature and consequences of the act which is about to be done, and the willful choice to act so as to cause such harm. So it's not enough for them to just be an idiot and say something stupid, say maybe to your wife at a wedding or something, or a dinner.
Yeah, if it's
they have to be
accidental,
able, they have to know that their actions are going to produce a certain result, and then they do it anyway.
Jim Tilvani. They told Judy his chili sucked and he lost fair and square.
Sir, we're going to have to remove you from the courtroom. Keep disturbing the proceedings. Thank you.
I could have brought that person up on fraud charges. There's a
You really could have, yeah.
I find that there was evidence that perhaps there was a fraud being perpetuated.
And I think
the lodge.
that, and stop me if I'm wrong, but I think that fraud part of it comes more of outside of the lodge rather than in. Or maybe I'm wrong.
It makes no distinction, so it can be either.
Right.
It can be either.
That really sucks for the guy who didn't pay his bar tab and stuck the other brother with it, right? Especially if he knew about it. Oh, man. Oh, I didn't know anybody was still here. I left.
Well, we do that to each other all the time.
Exactly.
Did I do that to you? Oh. No. I was going to say, I'd be
No.
I might have done
just-
it to him once.
no.
So intentional wrong. That's
Just being funny.
And then the last is court of competent jurisdiction. Court of competent jurisdiction, a court either civil or criminal having lawful jurisdiction over the issue, is adjudicating and the ability to impose penalties or award relief on that question. So if you're convicted in a civil or criminal court, that in and of itself is a Masonic offense, and
Correct.
you can be, like you said, suspended,
Now,
reprimanded, or expelled.
I want to be clear.
Through a Masonic trial, though.
I want to be... No.
Due process. No. What I'm saying is if you're found guilty of some crime in a court of competent jurisdiction, it could constitute a Masonic offense, but you still have to go through a Masonic trial.
So two
Yes,
things
you
on
still,
that.
the brother who's being accused or whatever, even if it's known public record, still has an opportunity to address the lodge. It'll probably be a very short trial, but he should be given a say in front of the lodge to try to explain himself.
Yep.
Maybe it was, you could have an issue where he was faced with some really bad choices and had to plea bargain out, and taking the guilty verdict versus the potential harsh penalties he could get.
Yep.
Maybe that was the right thing for him, and maybe he has an explanation for it.
Yep.
So I wouldn't say automatically means you're guilty, but it's going to be an uphill battle.
So two things on that. I just want to be clear on that. One, you have to be convicted.
Right.
Correct.
You cannot just be brought up on charges. You have to be brought up on charges in a civil court and or whatever, criminal court,
Found
and
guilty.
be convicted.
Yep.
Correct.
Found guilty. However, the Grand Master, at least in this jurisdiction, can yank your dues card at any point in time.
During that trial.
No, in general.
Oh, in general, it's one of his powers. Yeah, okay.
It's one of his powers. So if the Grand Master... now, that brings up a whole nother thing, because if you're... How do I put it?
Well,
if
that
you're
just-
slapped charges of doing something, and that shit comes back innocent, that they were found not guilty,
I see where you're going.
that Grand Master's in a world of heat.
Yeah.
Because, in a sense, I don't know how exactly that works, but... are you able to bring up the Grand Master on charges?
I believe the Grand Master is above reproach.
I believe you are correct.
I don't think you can bring him up on charges as a sitting Grand Master. Even a past Grand Master, I believe they're immune from Masonic charges.
Now, see, to me, that's horseshit. Because if that Grand Master yanked my dues card and I come back innocent, and then he just decides to be a fickle bitch and to hold on to my dues cards because he doesn't want to admit that he's wrong.
I believe the design of the Masonic institution is such that no fickle bitch, as you say, should ever ascend to that particular level, and therefore.
Oh, but it happens.
It
Yeah,
does
but then
happen.
the following year, the next Grandmaster.
Hold on, Ken.
Right.
But it happens.
Right, but term limits. Like,
Term limits.
Like
Well,
Judge
that
Judy
happened
said.
where? In South Carolina? Somewhere this year? Somewhere.
Correcto.
Down south where I guess somebody communicated via Zoom, even if it was it is non-Masonic related. So just a check-in Zoom call.
Right.
The Grandmaster of, I think it's South Carolina, but don't.
It's definitely one of the Carolinas.
Definitely down there. And said he wanted no Zoom communication between brothers at all. Masonic or non-Masonic related. And people just had a Zoom call. Had nothing to do with the lodge meeting. Had no business.
It was like a well check. Wellness check.
And the current Grandmaster, and this was a past Grandmaster that was doing this. The current Grandmaster yanked his dues cards as well as like 10 to 15 other brothers. It became a really big thing. But then a few months later, when the Grandmasters changed over, the guy came in and said, "We're wiping all that away. It never happened."
Yep.
So that's the design of the institution.
Kevin Mitnick.
Kevin Mitnick is actually a famous hacker, famous in that he got caught, by the way. Gryffindor. But, he says Gryffindor, yeah.
Is he really?
Kevin Mitnick, yeah. He was a big 90s hacker guy. He got caught. He was like a phone freak and everything.
Oh, great. So he changed our password to Gryffindor.
Well, the guy also runs like a security company now. And
So is he like a Pat McAfee kind of guy? Not Pat.
no,
McAfee.
he's like
That's
he
the
does like
kicker for the Colts.
like security trainings for corporations for
Okay.
like to go around fishing. Like I only know because our company uses
Is this the same
that
guy?
guy's company. I don't think it's actually
No,
Kevin
it's not.
Mitnick, although he does
Or
a
is
picture of it. Could be. Hey, if I'm in Kevin Mitnick's spotlight, I've really made it.
Thank
Get
you,
out of here.
Jim Devaney. Thanks for clarifying. That was South Carolina, and he ended up getting voted out. And when the new guy came in, he just kind of wiped it all clean and said that should have never happened.
It really doesn't happen that often, but like Right Worshipful Brother George said, it does occasionally. But yeah, Grandmasters are technically above reproach. You can't-
Yeah, and I will.
Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
In some cases.
I am a big fan of checks and balances of any position, including a Grandmaster.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big proponent of only when absolutely necessary in the Masonic institution because we shouldn't have to do that.
Well, I mean,
I know it does happen, but it shouldn't.
I'll let Judge Ginger decide on this one. But what if a past Grandmaster puts out a newspaper article about a certain amount of brothers that he deems as being unmasonic? I mean, how would you how would you rule on that one?
I would say it does not meet one of the 4 criteria, and no Masonic offense has been committed
He has
By
made his
him?
ruling.
By the Grandmaster
All right.
Yeah.
or by the brothers?
by the Grandmaster.
Oh, okay. All right.
He's not committed an offense. He expressed an opinion.
Okay.
Yep.
But doesn't defaming a brother or brothers, isn't that, in a sense, a Masonic offense? No?
No,
don't
not according
think
to
so,
the
no.
definitions. No.
It's not a violation of an obligation.
Now, if he produced information that he knew to be false, knowing it would get you expelled, and did it anyway, then I'd say we're in that intentional wrong or possibly fraud section,
Okay.
and I would.
You
But if
know,
he believes them to be true, and he doesn't realize the outcome, then I'd say no Masonic offense.
Okay.
So, Judge Ginger, I have a question for you.
I
here.
like that.
I just thought of something because it's kind of counterintuitive, but we have those 4 criteria by which you decide whether or not a Masonic offense has been committed. But we have a lot of obligations that we take,
We do.
and violation of any of those obligations, I believe, is de facto a Masonic offense, but it doesn't necessarily fit into those criteria.
I believe if you go through, as I'm reading through these criteria, I believe they are contained.
Oh, they would
within the
all
wording of the
fit.
obligation.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Now that I think about it, I'm thinking of a few. and
There's one, something along the lines that I promise not to wrong.
Yeah,
blank.
cheat. Yeah,
That one.
Cheat, wrong, nor defraud a brother of the same degree. I'm just
There
saying.
was,
So in a sense,
yeah,
if you
I
write
know
a
the words. I
shitty
wasn't
article,
just throw it out
I'm
there.
just saying, aren't you in violation of your Master Mason?
I just thought it was.
I ruled on that 3 freaking times. The answer's always going to be no. One more time, and Big Bird's throwing you out of here.
I'm ready. Don't make me do this.
Kelly Blankenship, should prior conviction immediately shut down a petition, or should it be based on a case-to-case basis? Which, Kelly, Thank you. Because
That's a good one.
kind of leading me into what something else I want to talk about, which is actually coming up for legislation at our Grand Lodge session pretty soon. So, Joe.
So I'm going to answer.
Should a prior conviction immediately shut down a petition, or should it be based on a case-to-case basis?
Case by case.
Why? Don't you?
The judge has ruled.
Huh? Why? I don't have to have the wisdom of frickin' Solomon.
Yeah, the judge does not. There's no obligation for him to explain his rulings.
You're as old as him. I mean,
Jackass.
That's defamation. Defecation.
Case by case, because, one case by case. Two, before I get into my explanation why, that's a lodge decision. Mm-hmm. That is a lodge decision. That's a decision that's made by the investigation committee. That's a decision that's made on the members before the investigation committee is even assigned, if that's come to knowledge. However, do your homework, find out what's going on, and it should be a case by case. Because if I did something stupid when I was 18 years old, let's say I did it on a week after my 18th birthday, where a week prior I would have been a minor and would never be on my record.
It could have just been like breach of peace, like you were having a loud
Something
party,
silly.
some dumb thing. Yeah.
for Joe, it's probably indecent exposure.
No,
Nothing indecent about that.
You're welcome for the assist.
It's a layup.
Jeez, I'm going to hold myself in contempt. Key on the hold myself. If I did something stupid at 18 and now I'm petitioning a lodge at 35,
Right.
then I will need to explain it, but ultimately that's up to the members of the lodge to decide if that's something that's going to hold me back or not. Now, if it were something so egregious, it still should go to a vote. I don't think there's any automatic knockouts. There may be times where you go to a person and go, I don't know if this is quite right for you, and here's why. This is going to come out, and I can't imagine you getting past the vote on this. You may give the person an option to a chance to opt out, which I know you're going to get into some stuff with which has happened in Connecticut
Yes,
that gives
I
them an
am.
opportunity to opt out. But decision, case by case, depends. What's the offense? When did it happen? How long ago was it? There's a lot of different things that can go into it. So I would say no. A prior conviction should not shut down a petition.
From a purely procedural standpoint, there is a line on the petition in the state of Connecticut that asks if you've been convicted of any prior crime, but it doesn't say anything about it immediately disqualifying
anybody
you.
can write no.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing. And if they don't, and
that's
if
the job
you,
of the investigation?
and if you do your due diligence and you look in the Department of Correction, or not Department of Correction, Department of Justice, like database or whatever, and you find something and the guy lied, well, that's case by case.
So, which brings me to Judge Ginger. Yeah, you're Judge Judy. That's what you are in
Whatever.
Discord. In here, you're Judge Ginger. Brings me to my next one, and I want your opinion on this one. And
Okay.
there is
I'll get my gavel ready.
and then after whatever the case may be, after your opinion, we'll go through all of our opinions on this. And I cannot remember.
Can I
if
just throw
we-
out the disclaimer once again?
Yes.
That I am not representing any Grand Lodge jurisdiction.
yeah.
And these
No.
are purely my own opinions based on my interpretation of our own Grand Lodge and regulations, which could be wrong. So
It's you as an independent Mason and free thinker.
Yes.
Hey, Ken,
Okay.
can you throw me one of these? when you
See,
get
that's
done?
why I had you get me two before. I thought ahead.
So,
That's why I'm the judge.
So we have coming up in April our Grand Lodge session, to which we are going to be voting on mandatory background checks for Masons.
That
So-
already passed.
What?
That passed in October.
It did?
Yep.
It's mandatory we do background checks now.
Yes.
Really?
Well, it's not mandatory that you do so, but if you're going to do one, there is an approved policy as to.
But it's not mandatory, correct?
I don't believe you're required to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Strongly encouraged.
Yeah.
Okay, so
they
it's
put a
strongly
procedure in
encouraged.
place for it, but they didn't mandate it for every lodge.
Okay,
I
thank
don't
you.
believe
Okay.
it was read that way.
There are grand jurisdictions, though, that have mandatory background checks, correct? So my question is, if Connecticut, which I didn't realize I thought it was going to be mandatory. if Connecticut decided to go to a mandatory background check, what are your thoughts and feelings on whether or not that is okay? Is that something that we should do?
I'll give you my own personal thoughts.
These are all our own personal thoughts.
I am absolutely in favor of mandatory
Ah,
background
Kelly
checks.
Blankenship says the Grand Lodge of Arkansas also requires background checks.
Okay.
So
So
it
if
always
it
comes
comes
up.
out, then you vote, and it only takes one vote to not have them proceed. So, that's the checks and balances. I am absolutely in favor of mandatory background checks in the manner in which the Grand Lodge of Connecticut is instituting it.
All right.
Granted, again, I don't believe they made it mandatory, but said if you're going to do it, this is how you do it.
Yep.
And in Connecticut, the way that we do it is there is one company that we use. The petitioner pays for and gets the background check himself. Okay? He then gets to read over it
Whoops.
and then decide if he wants to submit it with his application or with his petition.
And what if that petitioner says, "Nah, I ain't submitting this"?
Then he can bow out at that point.
Yeah.
Or if he says to you, no, I can tell you how I would vote on somebody that said, hey, I want to petition your lodge. I'm aware of the background check. I'm not doing it. Okay.
Yeah, Jim Delvany beating this dead horse again. Yeah, well, the reason why we're beating it is because it keeps coming back up. And we're talking about court, and we're talking about what's legal and not legal.
But at least it gives, again, if the background check comes up with something, one, he has an opportunity to explain it. And the investigation committee. Now, the results of this are only, if he submits it, are not known to the entire lodge. They're only known to the investigation committee, and they are not to share the specifics of that. So it's still relatively confidential. It's not going to get spread around. But the investigation committee would then review it with the petition, meet with the person, and ultimately they decide if he goes forward or not. They can come back with a favorable recommendation or an unfavorable recommendation. And they're not to discuss the specifics of what.
Okay.
I see nothing wrong with that. Argue the other side of it. I'll tell you the most common argument I've heard if it's not yours, but you go first.
So here's my argument to this. One, we are a voluntary organization. Voluntary. You're not going for a pistol permit. You're not going for a government job. You're not going for a state job. This is a voluntary fraternity of brothers. This is a civilian outfit. Why in the hell do you need a background check? Flip side of that, let me just also add, I'm not opposed to a background check if Lodge wants to do it, but making it mandatory, I think, is dead wrong, and I'll tell you why. Two, you're going to have, eventually at some point, he popped on a background check. You're going to have lodges. You're going to have Masons. They're he popped on a background check. He got a risk of injury to a minor when he was 19. Do you know the encompassment of just the charge risk of injury to a minor? It could have been a high school keg party, but being that there were kids there younger, kids, they're younger than you.
Yeah, even if they didn't know.
You're still getting popped for every person who is under your age at that party.
Which is why the investigation committee, when you say, hey, I'm turning it in, here's what happened, they can say, all right, we accept that.
But you're going to get a lot of them that are saying, no, risk of injury to a minor. Why? Because it actually falls under a child. What is it? The same.
So let me ask you this.
Same caliber as a sex offender. When they
I don't think that's the same.
Risk of injury to a minor?
I don't think it's.
That usually goes hand in hand with some.
You're not you're not forced to register on a national registry.
But you get my point though. People are going to see that and go, yeah, no, done.
And that's their prerogative.
Is that fair though?
Yeah.
For something that happened when this guy could maybe 20, 30 years old now, but something that happened when he was 19, they're going to say, yeah, no.
It's the way it goes. Not everybody gets a trophy.
It's also why we're losing membership.
And that's okay.
I'm just saying, aren't we a fraternity to make good men better?
Yes, but wouldn't you
we're
want to
also
know
guarding
if
the West Gate?
wouldn't you want to know if the person got popped on embezzlement charges before you made him treasurer?
No.
Years from now.
I want my cut.
I mean,
I'm joking.
So let's say the guy does have a risk of injury to a minor on his credit. You want him sitting in the East as Santa Claus with kids on his lap? How's that going to look when that story comes out? So it's not just to it's to protect the integrity of the fraternity as well. Just imagine if you had a brother.
I just don't think people
not even
should
an
be,
officer.
I just don't think people should be determined bad or good people based on a rap sheet.
No, that's why the investigation committee has to meet with them and discuss the findings and see if they have a valid explanation for it.
Jim Delaney says, quality of the man, not how many people pay dues. Come on. I'm not talking about dues. I don't care about paying dues. What I'm talking about is people make mistakes. They make mistakes that when they were younger, or, I mean, granted, if it happened 4 days ago, okay, now it's a different story. Don't get me wrong. So, which I'm not opposed to a background check. I just don't think that a Grand Lodge should make it mandatory. I think it should be up to a lodge. We, as lodges, have some sort of autonomy. And no Grand Lodge should come down with some edict or some law to say, oh, no, we all have to do this.
So I've got some information here.
Here's why. Another, just
right here.
Hold on. Here's the other end of it, though. There are lodges out there that don't have the money and are dying for membership.
But that's not, so what? So
They
you're going to
gotta
let a
pay
pedophile in because he's going to pay $200 a year?
No. I'm saying the lodge has to pay for that. Oh, no.
No,
I'm sorry.
the
Okay.
petitioner
I
pays
stand
for
corrected.
it. And it's
You're
like $15. It's not like it's $100.
Okay.
And it's
All right.
really
I
just,
stand corrected.
And just to make it, just to clarify, the background check that we run is a search of public records. It's nothing that your investigation committee couldn't find out if they spent a couple hours on Google looking at things.
And most
so
of
the
ours
info
do
is
anyway.
already out there.
Okay.
So unfortunately, there's been quite a few instances, especially in my mother district, where we haven't done our due diligence, and it actually cost one lodge their building.
Here's the flip side of this, though. Okay, I have a little card. It's a white and blue card in my wallet.
I don't know what that means.
It's called a pistol permit.
Mine has some pink on it, too.
I'm just making. What?
I think so.
Pink?
I don't
Or
think
am I
it's
confusing
What
it
the
with
hell?
pink on my
I gotta see
pistol
this.
permit.
No, it's right there in the front. You got it right there. Pink. Oh, you got a shiny, brand new one.
Oh, I just renewed.
How'd you pull that off?
He had to renew his.
Oh, no. No, I was thinking the old Connecticut license that had like a sunset in it.
Yeah. So anyway, so you have a
I've got it
pistol
there.
permit. So
Doesn't make me a criminal.
here's this pistol permit. I'm not going to show it to the camera. I'm keeping it this way. This pistol permit. What did you have to go through in order to get that pistol permit?
Hell. Twice.
I had to go through a lot
Including
in 1999.
But in order to
In
renew that,
1999.
That's when I graduated high school.
In order to renew this, I just filled out a form saying, yep, everything's still the same. Thank you. Give me my new card.
Yeah.
I don't need to go through another background check.
Fair point.
So 22 years ago, I was okay.
Okay.
How many guys you know from 22 years ago that aren't okay anymore?
Flipped.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me give you another example. Okay, it's no surprise, I'm actually starting to work for the Department of Homeland Security. Okay,
Yeah.
I have to go through this same process every 3 years.
Oh, you have to go back through the whole process?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
They
Well,
have
yeah,
to
I guess it
recheck
Which is appropriate.
everything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Every 3 years.
Okay.
Let's say I decided to join a Masonic Lodge. Is it really freaking necessary that I have to have a background check done by a rinky-dink lodge? I'm not diminishing lodges. I'm just saying the federal government process is way bigger than, and Delaney even said it too. He said background check for volunteer firefighter and or EMT. But my point being is it really necessary? If I come in with those type of credentials, that I need to have another background check to join a Masonic Lodge.
Let me ask you this.
May I answer that question?
You
Oh,
may.
here we go.
You may.
Thank
And
you,
I
Jim
have-
Delaney. Every time you purchase a firearm, you get run through an NCIC.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I haven't purchased one in 20 years because all the ones I purchased 20 years ago.
Hey,
Lost him in a
Delaney, I
boating
bet you.
accident.
Like, come on.
Hold on, I bet you Joe still has like a single action revolver. I bet
No,
you.
I've got a 45 caliber Glock.
He got it at the OK Corral.
Okay, so
Who's there?
you asked the question, George. Is it necessary that I go through this? And I just pulled up the Grand Lodge
You
proceedings.
have the revised ones?
And it is, in fact,
Okay, so it is
mandatory,
mandatory
and it
now.
is
Okay.
necessary. No petition shall be received without a specified background check consisting of
There you
publicly
go.
available information and court records from a vendor determined by the Grand Lodge, which has been ordered, paid for, and has been attached in a sealed envelope by the petitioner.
That's my point. Jim Delaney,
Mandatory.
even same thing. My work, I have it done yearly.
There's no freaking L in
choice.
his name.
Devaney.
There you
That's what I
go.
said.
No, you
Didn't
said
I?
Delvaney.
That's what I said.
Delvaney.
Jim Devaney. My work, I have it done yearly. No choice.
Yeah.
Perfect example.
Right.
If he was to join a Masonic Lodge, is it mandatory he has to
Yes.
get a...
Yes.
Why?
Because that was voted on, and that's what people wanted.
Let me put it this way, George. I already have my fingerprints on
don't like
file. All right.
You don't have to. It's like you said, it's a voluntary organization. You can opt out.
Yeah. I have my fingerprints on file because I got a pistol permit, right? You have yours on file in the same
everything.
database
Jesus
because of
Christ.
Homeland Security. Every time you do this to pick your kids up from school, every time you do this, you have to do it again. I think it's just stupid government bureaucracy because there's one database that has all this information. But yes, you do have to go through that process.
So let me ask you this. Let me go counterpoint with you. And remember, all my decisions are final.
Yes.
You're missing that. But here's another. So, and I know I'm going to get crushed for this from somebody, but I don't care. So you're like, well, I'm a Department of Homeland Security. I've held down a job with them for however many years.
That's
Look
how
at
it
me.
costs, too. Yeah.
Look at me. Homeland Security. I got a background check every 3 years.
I got a badge.
I'm an upstanding citizen,
Go
a pillar
fuck
of society. So, honestly, let me throw this out there to you.
Okay.
And it's reality, although I'm going to get freaking crushed, and I know it.
Yep.
I've been a priest for 20 years. Can I come in? Oh, yeah, he's a priest. He must be a good guy.
What?
I'm a Catholic priest. Let me in. Oh, yeah, he's a Catholic priest. He
They
must
don't
be a
get
good
background
guy.
checked.
He must be. You goddamn right they will.
Everybody
If he's
will.
coming into the fraternity, they will.
Yep.
Yeah, but
My point is, you can't just say because a person has a certain vocation or a certain job, that means they're okay.
Flip
Look
side,
at the
though.
lawsuits in Boston.
flip side, though, there are people who pass with flying colors and on paper are amazing people. John Wayne Gacy. John Wayne Gacy.
The guy dressed up as a clown. That's a red
I'm
flag.
just making a point.
That's a red flag.
It doesn't matter if he dressed up like a clown or not. This guy on paper was a upstanding citizen and was still a piece of shit. A background check
Right.
is not going to tell you whether or not this guy is a good guy or a scumbag.
No, it's not a be-all, end-all litmus test. It's a tool in the toolbox to help you
So,
find the right
my
guy.
point being
Will it
is-
weed out known scumbags?
I mean, sorry, man. I
Wait,
was the
time out.
secretary for how long? I knew when people were batshit crazy the minute I sat down to talk to him, and I had one guy talking to me about how he's seen Mona Lisa on a piece of fucking toast.
And did you vote yes for him?
No,
Okay,
he didn't
so
get.
then there
No,
you
there was
go.
no get voting. No, he didn't even make it. I'm like,
Okay.
yeah, I'll pass for on. Never happened.
So let me ask you, so it should it just be arbitrarily left up to each lodge secretary, or should we have a
Yes.
standard
It should be left
so
up.
you know what happens there?
Here's my thing.
Here's,
Okay, here's-
go ahead. But then I'm going to go Grand Lodge
here's my
Masonic
point.
legal committee on you. Go ahead.
You could legal my. Never.
When you have different sets of standards across an organization, you're setting yourself up for a class action lawsuit.
Flip side.
Because the same
Me?
standards that you applied here weren't applied to that guy, or that guy. You're discriminating against me. Class action lawsuit. That's the reality of it all.
Okay.
When I fire somebody at my company, I have to take the exact same.
But
10
if the
steps
Grand
on every
Lodge
single
said,
person.
if the Grand Lodge said that it's up to the lodges if they want to do a background check, and they left that open, I would sit down with some guy and he'd be like, "Oh yeah, I want to be a Mason, blah 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 blah," and he's fine. I let him through. The next guy comes and he's talking about Mona Lisa on a piece of fucking toast. I could be like, "Dude, we need to background check this guy before we go any farther."
Or rather than leaving that up to one person.
I'm not saying leave it up to. You're not leaving it up to one person.
Yeah, you as the secretary. So
But,
you're.
or the investigation.
but
the
at least it's three.
I'm saying it could
It's
be
three
either
people,
one.
But that's why let's be honest. People get the secretary's chair because nobody else wants to do it. Would you
No,
rather have
I
that? or
wanted to
three
do it.
people? There were three people. And how long did that last?
7 years.
Okay.
5 years?
Yeah,
5 years. 5 or 7.
I got out after 2.
I think that's average. That's
But instead of leaving it up to one person to make that decision, which again opens you up to litigation, because if you're just arbitrarily deciding, you need a process.
Like, I'm not tooting my own horn or anything, but me as secretary, I would sit down with the first time. Again, I've already talked about the process of what I used to do, but I made it arbitrarily hard before. It didn't even have to get to a petition. I made it hard. I made it where Here's my email. You email me back. If I didn't hear anything,
Right.
you're done.
Objection, Your Honor. Horn tooting.
Here's my
Sustained.
Here's my cell phone number. You call me. I'd wait for them to call me. These were all things that act
Right.
as a blocker
But
along
did
the
every
way.
secretary in the Grand Lodge of Connecticut, or in the Grand Lodge jurisdiction of Connecticut, do the same thing you
Well,
did?
they weren't as good as me. I don't know what to tell you.
But then that opens you up to litigation.
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustained. I don't even know what it is, but I'm
Horn
sustained.
tooting.
My point being is I don't think it should be mandatory statewide. It should have been left up where it's strongly encouraged, and each lodge make the decision on whether or not they want it to be.
Well, then I will say this to you. Much like our government is a representative democracy, not a democracy,
Oh, me?
you appoint people
Me?
to
I
attend.
don't appoint nobody. I'm a Burgess.
Did you vote?
Oh, by the
Did
way,
you-
I got
no,
elected.
time out.
Thanks,
out.
guys.
You vote for the top 3 officers of your lodge who attend the Grand Lodge communications and vote on behalf of the lodge.
That never happened.
And that it passed. I want to say it was about 85% were in favor.
Really?
So be it. It is what it is.
Should have
Deal with it.
Should have won.
Yeah, because you're
Anyway.
one vote. But anyway, I'm in favor of it.
That one
I
vote
think it
that
makes sense.
You were grand trustee.
I actually got 7 votes for that.
Yep, all of us. Jim said no, they're not the same database, and yes, you're correct, brother.
No, they
I
are
misspoke
not.
there. Yeah, so like when you're going to pick up your kids from school and you got to get fingerprinted, it's a different database than the NCIC when you get your pistol permit and all that nonsense. I'm just bitter because I think
Apparently a
when I
guard
do it
card either.
once,
Apparently a blue
know.
card.
Hey, for all you
I
people
feel
who
like
are
they should all have access to the same thing.
And if you're angry about, oh, I got fingerprinted for this, blah, 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 you gave it to Apple for free, so shut up. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Yeah, but I mean, 16
gave
times
up that
over for
freedom.
the same goddamn state.
It's just annoying, right? It's annoying.
It's annoying.
Yeah.
All you have to do is go into your file cabinet and just scroll through. Be like, oh, George's pistol.
Wait,
Oh,
wait.
here's his fingerprints.
Time out.
Yeah, there's a legal reason.
I just
why
want to clarify what you're saying. So the state shouldn't have 16 different sets of criteria to vet somebody and do a background check. That's what you're saying, right?
Do you know how much
Wait,
money?
No, time out.
Yes.
Okay, but the Grand Lodge should? Each lodge should have their own, and you could have 150 different methods
Well,
out there?
it shouldn't go up to the Grand Lodge. Why would it?
No, but what you're
Oh,
saying
it doesn't
is...
go to the Grand Lodge.
No, but what I'm saying is you want the state to have one approved method, but you want Connecticut to have 150 something different methods.
Everything has to go to the state in the state of Connecticut. But
No,
our petitions don't move upstream. We don't send our blue forms to the Grand Lodge
Correct.
along with background checks.
Correct.
Right.
Retain them in the lodge. And
We retain them in the lodge. So what the hell is the Grand Lodge?
But do you want 150 different sets of criteria out
Yeah,
there?
they're just setting a standard so that everybody's playing on the same ball field.
Your complaint is if I
Doesn't
do it
go
at
to
school, it doesn't count. My one from work at the Department of Homeland Security
Work that
doesn't
purple.
count.
Work that purple.
Doesn't count for Grand Lodge. But you want one. So what if the secretary, and this has happened, secretary in, I don't know, pick a town in Connecticut so that I don't get blamed for picking on somebody. Pick any town in Connecticut. Throw one.
Marlboro.
Stores.
Marlboro. The lodge in Marlboro does their due diligence and says, no, this guy can't be a Mason. No way. He's talking about Mona Lisa on toast. He's got this in his background. No. Guy says, all right, I'll just go to the neighboring town. Maybe that secretary
It
doesn't think
happens.
it shouldn't.
But it happens.
And
we
that's
just
what-
had a discussion about this not
It
too long
won't
ago.
happen again because there's mandatory background checks.
And the other thing is,
But that person doesn't have a background.
Well,
What do you mean?
They still have
Does
to say
he?
that they petitioned a lodge.
We're talking about a
the
specific
form.
person.
I'm not. I'm making somebody up.
I'm talking about a specific person.
If the person has no background, that's a red flag.
No. Comes clean on a background check. But you have a brother who says, yeah, no. And he bounces from lodge to lodge until he finds a home and that lodge picks him up. What's the
yes.
difference?
It's wrong.
Well, he is supposed to say that he was
And it's
rejected
wrong.
from another Masonic
and a mandatory.
lodge.
Well, but here's the problem. In now that I know what you're talking about, in those other lodges, somebody made a decision that we're not even going to vote on him.
Oh, so it's not in the records.
So it's not in the records.
Correcto.
Well, even if they petitioned, it would be in the
They wouldn't.
minutes.
They wouldn't submit the petition.
Okay.
They wouldn't even
I see what you're
submit it.
saying.
So
Yeah, so there's a...
because the guy knew
there.
he would not make it past the vote,
Right.
so he ended up going somewhere else.
Oh,
And
that
from
is a
what I
problem.
understand. He's
Going to another lodge.
Yeah,
That's a gap, I think. in the
Anyway,
process
that's
there
a gap that will now be closed by mandatory
by
background.
Judge
check.
Judy. And mandatory
That's if he
background.
pops on the background check.
he'd pop on the background check.
All right.
Trust me. We'll talk off air.
All right.
He'll pop.
Speak of which, we're at the
gonna
115 mark. Let's lock it up.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
it.
this is fun.
So let it be written, so let it be done. I'm sent here by the chosen.
Court is adjourned. All rise.
So let it be written.
I'm sitting, but I'm still rised.
You know, we didn't. Oh God, we never played the theme music.
Oh.
No, we didn't.
How did we screw that up? I mean, if we're gonna get muted, we might as well get muted at the end, right? Yeah.
Hold on, I got it here.
We're not getting monetized for this nonsense anyway.
I feel like there's going to be an off-air argument at some point.
No.
Oh, yeah,
There
it's-
we go.
Because there's whatever.
No,
It got
I'm
a little
right.
heated
I'm
there
right
for
and
a
you're
moment.
wrong.
I almost had to remove you from the courtroom there, George. You got very heated.
Who wants to be the Doug Llewellyn and give some parting words?
Why?
at the
Because
end
I'm a
of
goddamn patriot and I don't believe in
I think it should be
overhead.
you.
I don't believe in government overhead. Judge Wapner.
And so goes the case of the mandatory background inspections, where once again, Right Worshipful Brother George Mudgery was wrong.
Oh!
And
No, I'm not.
Judge Ginger was right and delivered the final verdict, which shall be respected by all.
I am going to put this to a poll in YouTube and on Facebook.
Good day, sir.
I said good day.
I said good day, sir!
And I'll let democracy reign.
I said good day!
All rise.
For the Freemasons podcast, I'm Right Worshipful Brother George Mudgery signing off.
Worshipful Brother Judge Ginger signing off.
And Worshipful Brother Bailiff Kent signing off.
I fucking care. Have a good night, everyone.
Love you all.